Good evening, good sir. How are you?
Are we ready for the Texas SEC domination?
They are currently pushing Georgia in a locker right now. But let me tell you what I think's happening right now. I think come mid-August, Texas, some of these deals that Texas has put together is going to fall through.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Because they're doing some illegal stuff. That's why.
Getting those deals in. Getting them deals
well, they can't. Well, they can't.
Yes, because of the
College Sports Commission.
Yes. So what are they doing now, Mr.
I think they just continue to do some of the same things that they've been doing in NIL. Here's the thing, though. I don't agree with some of the things that the College Sports Commission has done. I don't think an accounting firm can tell somebody and tell me what fair market value is.
Yeah, I mean, that's a slippery slope.
Very slippery.
And I've made that point a gazillion times. I mean, I just don't know how. I mean, I understand like rational sense. You could be like, well, most people know that you're not actually getting that amount of money for saying Joe Schmo's tire shop or whatever. But how can you judge that? It's a slippery slope.
Here's my thing. I know the money that I make for roughly 1 million total impressions a month, whether it be Ruffino and Joe show or whether it be AYS combined. I know what I make a year. Okay. Some of these deals, some of these players have more followers than I do. So you get to a place where, well, they're getting paid $200,000, $300,000 a year in NIL. I'm sorry to tell you, it's about fair market value. I'm sorry to tell everybody that. I mean, when you look at CPM ratings from YouTube or whether it be from any service, massive national service that pays for things like this, okay, I don't think that it's egregious of what Texas is doing, but I don't know if that Deloitte, who is a Rudy Poo of an organization, is going to allow it. Deloitte is the worst accounting firm on the face of the planet, and I will die on a hill with that. They have no business.
Wow. Yeah. We're getting into assets and liabilities here. Are you freaking kidding
Joe,
me?
I told Joe this, but Carter, you're letting an accounting firm argue legal battles. So it's dumb. But to your point of what you're saying, Georgia is currently being pushed in a locker by Texas in recruiting.
It's insane. And it's also ironic that they were both at the SEC Media Days today, not necessarily together, but, their paths certainly crossed at some point. So, but it's not just that.
Kirby knew. Kirby knew.
Yeah, of course. But I will say, Blake, it is going to be hard to not see them win at least one natty over the next 3 years. And
we've seen teams dominate recruiting like this and not been able to win. They got to beat Georgia first. Georgia's still got a really damn good recruiting class.
Right.
So,
it's just I just think it is going to be hard for them to not win at least one. And another thing another thing that's been very interesting for them is that a lot of the guys that they have recruited out of high school have hit, and they're studs, right? And we can get into the transfers that they've gotten, we can get into the NIL that they've spent, but they got a bunch of young year 1, year 2, year 3 kind of guys. Like, it's going to be hard to not see Ryan Wingo be a superstar in this offense. Obviously, we know what Colin Simmons is. The Burke kid is very underrated. 91. I like him a lot. Very long arms. Makes a lot of plays. Had a big game versus Clemson last year. So, man, it's just hard for me, Blake, to not see them at least win one. over the next couple of years. But maybe I'm overvaluing them. Maybe
Yeah,
I am.
you at the current moment you are, because you can't base everything off of recruiting, because we've seen teams recruit at a high level and A&M happens. Now, they've been in the Final Four the last couple of years, but they got to get over the hump. I mean, they got to show that they can get over the hump and do those things first. I don't think what you're saying is egregious by any stretch of the imagination. But let's see what happens here before we go.
Yeah,
there.
of course. It's just
right. Win the
vibes
SEC
are high.
first. I mean, can they win the conference before they win? I mean, Carter, we got LSU fans that still question Jay Johnson. He's won 2 natties in the last 3 years. I mean,
wait, they still exist? There's LSU
apparently those Rudy Poos still exist. So look, we'll see. All right, Carter, LSU was at SEC Media Days. I know that you're going to talk about this in just a moment. I saw your headline for your show here at 6:00. So you don't have to go into it in an immense amount, because I know
let's talk
about it. Carter, I got to admit, the maturity level of Garrett Nussmeier is 180% turnaround from what we saw a year ago. I think from the national perspective, that's what a lot of people are seeing too. It's the number one thing coming out of LSU for Media Days has got to be the maturity level of what we saw from Garrett Nussmeier the last couple of weeks, right? And not Manning Pass Academy, but I mean, it happened at SEC Media Days too. That's the biggest thing that I took away from all of this.
Yeah, it's essentially what Jaden did before his big year was him saying what he needs to do a better job of. And Garrett, went deeper into that about how he's changed his body. Yeah,
first thing that came out of his mouth was, I need to turn down the turnovers.
Right. And just overall be a better runner, be a more willing runner, taking a look at his body, seeing what he could do to be better in that. Because look, we'll see what Garrett looks like in the fall in pads, but man, I will never forget, because I never, me, Blake, I never try to take too much away from any practice, even though, I've done practice breakdowns for years now. One of the biggest transformations was Jaden going into that final year. You could see that he actually did put in all the work that he had been saying at the Manning Academy, at SEC Media Days and all of that.
Well, you saw it on his body, if you remember when he was standing next to Belichick.
Yes. I mean, he was he's different. Like, he was so thin, and then all of a sudden he's thicker. And you know how I am about thick. I'm excited about that thick baseball transfer they brought in there.
Bless it.
Dude,
massive pause.
Dude, I love my SEC athletes thick, man. This is a thick conference. You got to have that power, baby. And Garrett says he has changed his body, and he's going to be even more willing to run and take the hits that come along with it and pop right back up. So really excited about Garrett, excited for Whit, excited for Chris and BK also speaking very confidently, not only about himself, but about all the coaches in the SEC, which I found to be fascinating.
What part of it did you find fascinating from Brian Kelly?
What was that last answer to like the main session question? So for those that don't know, you do all these different interviews, right? And Brian actually does really good local radio interviews. And you could get some nuggets from like just a random interview he did with Frank Frangie in Jacksonville. But at the end, he said transparency for the future of the conference is going to be big. He was asked a question about from Sports Business Journal about that. And he's like, us as coaches, we need to be even more
specifically talking about the College Football Commission.
Right. So BK is always illuminating and all of that. But one thing I will say, and this has been consistent last year and before the last couple of seasons, Brian Kelly has said in public interviews, hey, let's pump the brakes on this team, right? This year has not been the case. It's not a whole lot of let's pump the brakes. And the big thing, Blake, knowing that this is your favorite position, the offensive line confidence. He has a lot of confidence in this position group going into next year, which I don't, and I know you don't either. But Brian Kelly has been arguably the best offensive line head coach in the country over the past decade. So if he says it, hopefully I can get myself to believe that, and we'll see what happens.
I think there's two schools of thought that can happen with the offensive line. I think that he didn't say anything of relevance outside of coach speak, meaning his words were, "I'm very bullish on the offensive line." That doesn't admit anything, right? I can be bullish that I'm going to have a six-pack by the end of the year. Doesn't mean that I'm accurate about it, okay? But the other school of thought on that is this. We never in spring, even though they allowed 6 sacks and a half during a half of spring football in a scrimmage, what we didn't see was DJ Chester moving to guard. What we didn't see was Braylon Moore at center, and we didn't see Thompson at the other guard. And Carter, I'm going to be honest with you. I told you this off air. I've been saying it on air. I don't give a flying Rudy Poo who hears me. They're going to have to find a spot for Carius Kern. It's going to happen. So whether that's rotational, regardless of what it is, he's too much of a freak. I don't want to come out here and say that I think the offensive line is bad right now, but what we've seen, they've been bad. I don't think Cohen Eccles is ready, not remotely close to being ready. I don't think Borderline is remotely close to being ready, which could indicate that you don't have quality depth outside of Kern. So it's going to be interesting to see, and Mabinga. It's going to be interesting to see how they do all of this.
We'll see. My dog just went nuts because my wife's not used to me being live at 5:30. Yeah. You want to say hi to Blake? You want to come say hi? Okay. She said no.
Girl,
but I will say, Blake, I am as high, if not higher than you, than Carius Kern. He actually did end up being the number one rated player in this class for me. Him and DJ Pickett had the same grade. So I know you're really high on DJ Pickett. I think everybody is well. Carius is that guy. I do think if we're basing it just on talent and who I think will end up being the best offensive lineman in the room right now, it'll be Carius Kern. He'll be an all-SEC player. He'll be an NFL draft pick. I see a lot of Trey Turner in this game, just an all-out freak show where it might take a year before you actually –
I think he's stronger than him right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's unbelievable.
Carter, he could have benched 500.
Yeah. I've gotten to see him play in person. I mean, I think he would be a really good Division I defensive lineman as well. So those are the kind of guys that I want. I want those types of athletes. He is as athletic as any LSU offensive lineman recruit I've ever seen.
He might be from an interior standpoint on either side of the ball. He might be the most athletic than anybody on the team.
Yeah,
from an interior lineman standpoint.
Yeah, and I will also say that someone who knows this room really well agrees with me that he is, if you're basing it just on talent and potential alone, he's the best offensive lineman in the room. But once again, that's a lot. It's a true freshman. And one thing Brian Kelly did say about the offensive line is he says he's not in a position where he has to play a true freshman like he was, a few years ago with Will Campbell and Emory Jones. So we'll see how this plays out. I never like to just overhype a kid, but Carius Kern has that dog in him, and I'm really excited to see what he's going to do.
Anything else before I ask you a couple of quick questions here? Anything else stand out from you on SEC Media Days?
Not really. It's overrated in terms of what these specific athletes.
Well, let me ask you this: are you surprised that they've put Clemson logos going 1-0 all over the building? I went back today and listened to Brian Kelly for like 3. I would say probably all 3: the individual interview, the local media interview, and then his main subject matter. You know that he brought up the Clemson and LSU going 1-0 17 times in less than an hour.
Oh, it's insane. It's driven everybody in that room nuts. And I will also
he don't
say
care. He does not care. Go 1-0. That's all he cares about.
Yeah, and I say that as in the season opening thing is driven so many people at LSU insane because they understand that while also understanding there is still a bigger picture than just this one non-conference game at the beginning of the season. But Blake, I can't believe I'm doing this, but I have Clemson as a first round bye. I have fully bought in on their hype. I just really do think they're that good of a team. And I think this obviously will be one of LSU's better teams, hopefully under Brian Kelly. And I think we're in store for one of the best season opening games in LSU history. And there have been some really, really good ones. You
just can't get blown out if you lose. You got to lose 24-21.
Yeah, and this is just a harsh truth of the Brian Kelly era. When they lose, all right? I mean, the score gets ran up, and I'm with you. I think how you lose matters. Now, it doesn't to most fans. I would say to 75 to 80% of LSU fans, they don't care how you win. They don't care how you lose. Well, Blake, if you're a head coach that preaches process, how you win and how you lose matters. Because if you preach process all the time, the end result's not as important as the process. So I just can't get to the point where if LSU loses a close game, I'm not going to hot take it until the end of time that this is the worst thing in the world. But if they do get blown out, it would be very, very, very unacceptable knowing all the work that LSU is putting in for this game.
Thoughts on getting Lamar Brown and the week that LSU had with the off-field recruiting staff? And
he's big.
And getting Sam Petito and Jeff Martin back, et cetera.
Yeah, Blake, I've actually not talked to you about this directly, but I did see the clips that you're very well rounded with Petito in particular, and that's obviously a big
off-field hire in LSU probably in the last decade. Think I'm playing with you?
No, I mean Ohio State wins when he gets there, and Saban.
Ask Caleb Downs. Ask Caleb Downs why he went to Ohio State, because I have.
I will also say Saban loves that guy.
He does.
He adores him.
He brought in the player that won a Heisman and won 2 national championships for Saban. Yeah, he freaking loves him.
So, yeah, I mean, that's big. Bolden, I'm excited about him. I've always followed him on social dating back to his days at Arkansas. And then, of course, Jeff Martin. I knew Jeff vaguely. I'm glad he's back at Baton Rouge. I know this is where he wants to be. So, really excited about that. And Blake, Lamar Brown's a real deal. I mean, this is a special athlete, kind of like what we just talked about with Carius Kern. Can legit play at a high level on both sides of the line, and now those are the kind of guys that you want. I know he wants to play on the defensive side of the football, and look, I think he could be a very, very good defensive player. His offensive line tape is spectacular. He's a very nuanced player to go along with his athleticism. And like, I know you've seen, his tape yourself, but his ability to climb to the second level is just so smooth. And that was from his sophomore tape, where he was the best athlete on the field in every game that he played. And he's an offensive tackle where it's really hard to display that. That's how much he would jump off the film when you would watch him. So Lamar is worth the hype. I do think he is a very, very, very special player. I don't feel like that about every 5-star recruit. I've said mentioned
multiple times on this show. You've said it.
Yeah. I do believe it. I really do believe it. I mean, this is a big time recruit, and he will be an all SEC player at LSU.
Last but not least, Austin Thomas. Do you think that his addition has changed the direction of LSU in some way?
Yeah, and look, Austin is living life. He's getting a lot of LSU guys back once again, Jeff Martin was a very popular guy. He goes to USC, and you get him back.
Wasn't even there for a game. Got fired, if you remember.
Yeah, and look, I will say this time in and time out about Austin. Got a pretty sizable raise just a few months ago.
Deserved after this week.
Yeah, and look, you're under a lot of pressure when your salary nearly doubles, and you deliver, right? That was a backyard kid that you needed to win out, and he got it done.
He did.
But also just organizing the transfer portal class, the reported Excel sheets. I mean, I know everyone doesn't want to look at football from a spreadsheet standpoint, but Blake, you have to now, because whether or not people want to admit this, you do have rules you have to follow with revenue sharing. We talked about Deloitte a minute ago. There are ways you could skirt around it, but in life, when you get official limits that you have to abide by, we have speed limits that we have to abide by in society. Do people still speed and drive 100 miles per hour? Sure. Ask Kirby Smart that. They do. But the limits themselves make driving safer on roads, whether or not we want to admit it. Now that we have rules in place where you have 20.5 million or whatever it is for revenue sharing, and you have to go through, a third party Deloitte and all that stuff, you do need to factor in cost with every single player that you have. And Austin Thomas, a big part of his job is helping allocate those resources. And even though this isn't a hard salary cap and there's ways you can work around it, it's not like in the NBA when you got all these aprons and stuff like that. You do need structure, and Austin has brought a lot of that structure to LSU. So I'm really excited to see where we go from here.
Absolutely. Carter Bryant Carter Bryant is live next, correct? You're live at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time?
Yeah. Why'd you go at 5 tonight? We got T-ball, or what we got tonight?
It's the All-Star game, and I promised Ben I would watch the MLB All-Star game with him. Yeah.
Oh, MLB All-Star game.
Yeah, Paul Skeens is on the bump. If I'm not mistaken, the first or second batter that he's going to face is Aaron Judge. And Ben, my son, who, by the way, is just adores baseball. Like all of his new book sack for school that starts in August, it's a baseball book sack. His lunchbox is a baseball. His water bottle is a baseball. Like it looks like a baseball. Okay.
Yeah.
He is, dude. I don't think you can hear. Can you hear him right now? Because he's outside my door.
No, I can't. Okay. I can't. Yeah.
Dude, it's all he does. Ask my wife. He plays baseball all day. He will hit off a tee all day until his hands are like blistered. And I try to make him stop, and he won't. He's the hardest working 6-year-old that you'll ever see in your life. I know people say that about their children. I will video it.
Well, you know what you have to do. I saw these videos.
I'm not taking that out of him.
Well, you need. What was it? The first overall pick had like a full-size batting cage and stuff like that.
Oh, I will build that. If it gets that serious, I will build it.
Yeah, I've been to your house before. Well, you need to hit up. You need to hit up Derek Curiel's dad.
Oh, Rick. Yeah, me and Rick. I'll call Rick. I'll call Rick tonight.
Oh, so Rick. Call Rick up, and you got to build whatever the hell he built, because obviously that worked. I don't know. He had like a turf field and a little batter's box for him. So shout out to you, Rick, and shout out to Bo Curiel, the real reason Derek is a success. So
me and Bo Curiel might have shared a beer at Omaha. That's all I'm going to say. By the way, Dave Shootmate, you have on tonight.
Yeah.
You need to ask him about the off-field player personnel stuff. You're welcome. Dave was the director of player personnel for Gus Malzahn for 7 years.
Yeah. We've had Dave on a few times. We'll talk